Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about the challenges in security. Also, whether we're looking at a politicization as far as security is concerned. When we look at the politics at this time, when we look at different political parties and how what is being said as far as security is concerned. Of course, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has sent out a clear and uncompromising message saying that Afghanistan must choose between terrorism or Pakistan, that Pakistan will not put up with any interference that comes from that side, and that of course, as he stood shoulder to shoulder with Field Marshal Asim Munir in Bannu, the Prime Minister joined the funeral of 12 martyred soldiers, reviewed the security situation and vowed decisive action against cross-border terrorism. From exposing Indian support to Afghan-based terrorists to stressing the urgent eviction of illegal Afghan residents, the Prime Minister declared that Pakistani people, its state and armed forces stand united against terrorism and its proxies, and they acted as a shield for those against those that perpetrate terrorism. Of course, those spreading foreign-based backed narratives, and that they will be answered in the same language. We'll be talking about this, and a little later on we'll also move on to talk about the effects of floods as far as agriculture is concerned, what we can expect in months from now. I have with me today Aniq Zafar, who is a political analyst. Thank you for being with us today. We also have with us Brigadier retired Waqar Khan, who is the defence analyst. Thank you for joining us today. Aniq Sahab, we saw, you heard what the Prime Minister also said today, and of course, the fact that there has been a continued and resilient effort by, of course, across the board as far as the armed forces are concerned, as far as, the government is concerned, and to shield the people and Pakistan from that kind of terrorism. Do you think that message has permeated sufficiently to the Afghan government, to Afghanistan? Let's start with that.
Thank you, Mahrukh. I think it goes without saying that today Prime Minister has given a very clear message that Afghanistan has to choose between Pakistan and terrorism. Afghanistan has to choose between Pakistan and TTP. Afghanistan has to choose between Pakistan and those Afghans who are helping TTP perpetrate this kind of terrorism in Pakistan. But the question whether the message has been received adequately, and is the Afghan government listening, I am not very hopeful. I think until unless Pakistan follows it up with some action, those actions can be kinetic, and those actions could be strategic to drive home the message to Afghanistan that enough is enough. Kabul must understand that Pakistan is not going to tolerate
as far as the message is concerned, and also as far as across the board unity is concerned. We are also looking at certain political parties. When we talk about politicizing this security, isn't that a very dangerous ground? That because when you talk about operations, when you talk about make a political issue with regard to operations, is that not crossing a new red line in your opinion?
Well, if we go to the past, I think one party has always been sort of an irritant when it comes to operations against terrorism. They are perhaps they are fearful that TTP will target them, as TTP has in the past or had in the past been targeting some of the political parties which were based in KP. Interestingly, the leader of the party, Mr. Khan, in his own ex post mentioned that TTP made ANP unpopular. How did ANP become unpopular? ANP became unpopular when ANP supported the operation, and it is not only about unpopularity. A number of hundreds of ANP workers and supporters were killed by TTP by targeting that political party. Similarly, PPP in that province also suffered the same fate. Its leadership and its workers could not go out. So if PTI thinks that it can save itself by opposing an operation, it's
probably going to have a counter
an illusion.
effect.
It's an illusion.
Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Brigadier Sahab on this, and then I'll come back to you. Brigadier Sahab, as far as these operations are concerned, from a purely from purely military standpoint, could you tell us a little bit how crucial these operations are at this time? When, of course, we are looking at our people on the front line, and of course the forces also to of course deal with the menace of terrorism, which has continued to plague us now for a long time.
I think for criticality of the operation, if you look at 2025 is going to be decisive, inshallah, and it is going to actually, the military and political leadership is going to aim to break the back of terrorism in Fitna Hindustan and Fitna Kharij in KP and Hindustan. That's why it becomes very, very important. There was a time when these terrorists had some sympathy in KP. I visited a lot of places like Swat. We even went where the TTP, Asfar TTP had their headquarters, and also visited places Peshawar, Kohat, and people are now very clear that basically this is no fight for Islam, and that old mantra of that probably they were fighting for Islam is no more acceptable anybody in KP. I would say 99%. Maybe they have some sympathizers. So practically the people of KP are very clear, including when we were sending Afghan refugees back to their homes. By and large, there is a huge support in KP. So if the political government, which is elected by the people, is going against wishes of the people, then it basically is doing point scoring. And that's been, I think, unfortunate.
And Brigadier Sahab, you're saying that is something that the people now fully appreciate also. It's not something, it's not going to be easy to so to speak, confuse people as far as, or trying to hide behind a false facade to, sort of put up with or sort of give credence to the kind of incompetencies, among other things that we've seen as far as the local politics of KP is concerned. Do you think from, as far as your counter-terrorism strategy is concerned, if we look at that, of course, these operations have to be crucial to that, right?
Yeah, definitely. Any military operation would require, one is the on-ground support by people, and that, inshallah, is already there. The political government of the province has to own it, ultimately, because if you look at the casualties, sacrifices by police of KP, these are enormous. We have seen frontier constabulary, people like IG Sifkat Gayur laying his life. So there's a history of police which comes under the provincial government, frontier constabulary, and now we have basically Frontier Corps and the army fighting it out. So I think state is very clear. Unfortunately, even when India Pakistan were fighting, if you look at the narrative built up by PTI, it was, it appears that probably this being prepared by the narrative prepared by research analysis wing, because it goes against interest of Pakistan. But CPEC 2 has to be launched. China has already offered Afghanistan, an olive branch that this can be extended. But I think today Prime Minister was very clear, political military leadership, that it can't be that we keep, suffering losses. And then they keep on pumping in this Fatna al-Khawarij for what? Basically they are hired guns for dollars being provided by India, and then they are trying to score some brownie points. So all told, I think the leadership is very clear. People are clear. KP political, I think leadership has to realize that it is for their survival, it is for their survival of the next generation. This war is going on. Inshallah, we will succeed, and sooner the better. But in case they put up resistance, I think there are so many other options that then this resistance can also be legally tackled. There are so many other things that the federal government can do.
Let me include Aniq Zafar, and then I'll come back to you. Aniq Zafar, what political motivations, in your opinion, are behind this kind of reaction to this operation? And also, we are, of course, we'll be looking at allegations of perhaps incompetence, come from for one particular political party in KP. So overall, what is behind this kind of a reaction, in your opinion?
You mean their position on the operation?
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as their position on the operation, that actually is driven by their imprisoned leader.
Okay.
He is someone who has entirely, I mean, his point of view on number of issues, he thinks that those are some very statement-like or some very visionary positions on terrorism. But what he fails to understand, and his followers also fail to understand, is that engaging TTP in talks has not worked in the past. We have had a number of agreements with them. If we go to the past, in 2004 we had Shikai agreement, in 2005 Sararoga agreement, in 2008 Sawat agreement, in 2009 we actually gave them Nizam-e-Adl in Sawat. Then in 2013-14, the then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif entered into an agreement with them. In 2021,
but he's still calling out. He's still saying that he's asking them to resist the operation.
Because he will never tell you that all these agreements were violated by TTP themselves, right? And their intransigence, their overreach, forced Pakistan to respond back. A state cannot allow any armed group to dictate to the state.
Right.
A state like Pakistan, which is under threat from number of international players, cannot allow an armed group to be used by those enemy countries. So
Aniq, how does this take us back to May 9th in the sense that it's dangerous, it's explosive, and again we are looking at that kind of steering that can potentially
because for that political party and its leader, their political narrative surmounts any other challenge that Pakistan faces.
Okay.
Their political narrative is their prime goal. Achieving their political objectives is their prime goal. Pakistan's security, Pakistan's larger national interest, Pakistan's international relations, those do not matter to them. To them, only objective is to get that person out and install him as a ruler or some kind of a dictator in Pakistan.
So we go back to then May 9th.
May 9th closely interlinks with that, because May 9 also proved that to protest, to register their protest, they can go to any extent. They can challenge the security institutions, they can attack the security installations, they can damage.
And the letter,
imagine the impression they were trying to create. The impression they were trying to create was that the state and a military that is a nuclear power is so helpless in the face of a couple thousand people that they can enter into any security building, they can take over any security building. So imagine if military as an institution does not respond to that, what kind of impression will go to the international audience that a nuclear state cannot protect its own security installations.
And what kind of impression are we sending to the international community when he's asking people and he's portraying these operations, which are of course necessary for the life of the people of Pakistan, to be as a conspiracy against PTI?
I mean, I do not even consider it worth commenting, because someone who is saying that Pakistan military is acting on behalf of anti-Taliban forces. What are anti-Taliban forces? I am anti-Taliban, you are anti-Taliban, we are anti-Taliban. So what Pakistan forces are acting on behalf of people of Pakistan. And people of Pakistan are anti-Taliban.
And if
he wants to associate with Taliban, okay, fine, we will always look at him as someone who is close to Taliban.
Fair enough. Let me go to Brigadier Saab on this. Brigadier Saab, as far as Afghan nationals are concerned, the use of Afghan soil to complicate Pakistan's efforts in counter-terrorism, how does one involve, how does the involvement of these Afghan nationals and the use of that soil overall complicate what Pakistan deems necessary for counter-terrorism, in your opinion?
I think as far as one government is concerned, they've been using basically terrorism as a tool of policy to draw concessions. There were a couple of demands like uh, it was the illegal spectrum should continue smuggling of dollar and wheat and artificial manure and all that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's weapons. So there's a huge racket along the border which operates this illegal spectrum. The other was, of course, trying to stop Pakistan from repatriating their Afghan refugees back to their homes. They claim that Afghan currency is very strong and milk and honey is flowing, so why not? Iran is, I think, settled almost more than 2 million Afghan refugees back to Afghanistan in, I think, last 1 year. Pakistan is also trying to do it. The other was to draw, basically concessions in the erstwhile Fata tribal areas to get space for the terrorist organizations so that they could continue, basically marauding the countryside. So Pakistan basically drew red line, and we, inshallah, will definitely overcome.
But
Main
what is
thing
the
is that Taliban should
situation?
realize that this dispensation of, having peace talks and then sponsoring terrorism cannot continue for forever. Pakistan has the capacity. We have fought it for last 2 decades, including tackling two superpowers. If you add the Russians for 3 decades,
Yeah,
and then
but
Pakistan came
Brigadier
out
Sahib,
intact.
also there's also like you said, of course we have the capability. We've shown the world also, as far as the significance of Fitnatul Kharij and Fitnatul Hindustan. As far as we of course the significance of these terms with regard to Pakistan's approach to these terrorist threats. Could you elucidate a little bit on this? Because we know that where it's coming from, we know that of course the Afghan soil is being used, and of course the sincerity of the government versus the people. All of those considerations are something that Pakistan has for a long time grappled with. The government, the state of Pakistan, the armed forces. But of course now the message that the Prime Minister is giving is that it has to stop, right?
I think Pakistan has a lot of regional support on this regard. And Afghanistan, unfortunately, for last even 100 of the year, but let's say last 40 has been destabilized. Almost 10 to 12 violent regime change operations, and one government coming, other going. And so Pakistan has to deal with anybody who's sitting in Kabul, but then we bifurcate between the government in Kabul and the
Yeah.
people of Afghanistan, because we have to look after the 40 million people of Afghanistan also. Like 20 million women are now technically imprisoned. So
Yeah.
we have to basically have a humanistic approach also, but then a strong message to Afghanistan that it can't be that they basically support terrorism and on the other side they expect Pakistan to act as the elder brother. This cannot go. There's a lot of regional pressure coming up, like China. I'm sure Iran, Russia. People are fed up with this, one soil becoming a hub of terrorism for all these countries. Even I think United States is worried. So gradually, it's a long fight, but definitely Pakistan would come out strong
But
and win
Brigadier
it.
Sahib,
And
even if we look at what's the recent the cooperation that was held, the conference that was held in China recently, the SCO, there's India being part of it. And the fact that of course China has taken, like you said, with regard to CPEC, the investment goals and what Pakistan envisage as the way forward. Do you think that India now realizes that perhaps it is going to have to tone in its nefarious designs as far as Pakistan is concerned?
I think as far as India is concerned, till the time I think the fascist government of Modi is there, there's a little hope, because they would like to, basically fish in troubled water on along our western borders. There is a space, and we know that India is trying to basically, wine and dine these groups, despite the fact that they were the one who was supporting Hamid Karzai and Ashraf Ghani in giving arms to kill Taliban. The Indian military hardware was used, but somehow I think the dollar has some value, and that's how I think they are able to entice But they should realize, because if they fight proxy wars, and now Canada, US, UK, everybody is raising this transnational oppression issue, and Indians are being pushed out from a lot of countries. There's a lot of hatred that in case they want to survive in the region and have good relation, maybe someday sense would prevail. One thing is there, that they are trying to now have rapprochement with same China, which their vice chief of army staff was saying, one front, three adversaries, and they were actually abusing China a couple of weeks ago. But now they are getting into some senses. So maybe, I think, in the long run, but I don't foresee any hope till the time Modi is there.
Right. Let me go to Aniq Sahab here. Aniq Sahab, there's also, other than the domestic situation, we've also seen the leader of the opposition in India make speeches in-house when he said that, it is not Pakistan but also China, and the fact that, of course, China is a bigger economy, is certainly a bigger force in every sense than India. Do you think that itself, and the fact that, of course, our relationship with China, the SEO summit, our interests diverging in the form of CPEC, that doesn't permeate, like Brigadier Sahab says, it's not going to make a difference to the Modi-led government in India?
I would concur with Brigadier Sahab. The problem with the Modi government is that their whole politics revolves around a few points.
Okay.
And one of the major point in their politics is that they have to project themselves, Modi and India, as the strongest ever. And that they cannot be cowed down by anyone.
Yeah.
They are really a sovereign country, and they can throw their weight around on the world forums, and they can throw their weight around when it comes to neighboring countries.
Exactly.
When it comes to China, they know that they are not a peer to China. In fact, the recent war between Pakistan and India proved that Pakistan army is a peer competitor of Indian army. China is much above them. So they will not. They do not have the sagacity and political wisdom to step back from that position that they have taken. That position involves anti-Pakistan rhetoric. That position revolves around anti-Muslim rhetoric. You can easily see that under Modi, India has shifted far away from its policy on Palestine. It has the Indian society, if you get a reflection from the social media feeds from India, Indian society has become quite anti-Muslim across the board. It's not only about Pakistan. Now it's about other Muslim countries as well. They find much more comfort in supporting Israel and cozying up to Israelis. Not that India did not have relationship with Israel previously, but India had a principal position on the question of Palestine. Now India prefers to stay silent.
More extremist
for example, on Doha, when Israel attacked Doha a couple of days back, the Indian statement that was issued, it did not mention Israel. It only talked about attack on Doha. So even though Doha and India have a very close relationship,
so it's looking
coming back to the point, I do not see Indian government under Modi changing its tracks.
Right, fair enough. Unfortunately, we have little time for this segment, but Brigadier Sahab, I want your opinion on this, that, as far as political parties are concerned, in your opinion, how do political parties balance legitimate criticism, for example, against any security operation, which, of course is their right, but they also, realize, and they also, have a duty to support the state's efforts to combat militancy, when of course we are looking at our army, when we are looking at our own people laying their lives and sacrificing even as we speak?
I think political parties must realize that it's for the entire Pakistan. Actually, we should not be dividing it. KP, Balochistan is very much part of Pakistan, and any force, whether it is the military, the provincial law enforcement agencies, they are basically the ones who are on the front line, and political leadership should own it. So I think it should be a bipartisan approach. But unfortunately, in term like Balochistan, we are very comfortable with Bukti Saab, going with the state because they also realize the future of Balochistan. And for KP also, generally, I would say that PTI government is, I would say, divorced from the feeling and the pulse of the people of KP. Not to mention, about their bad governance and corruption, but on counterterrorism and these military operations, people are very clear and they have always welcomed, whether they are from the bordering region, erstwhile FATA, or the settled districts. So they should realize that this approach, just for the heck of it, or just for, let's say, some statements from their, uh, Bani leader that they should not cooperate, it won't go, in favor of the party. It is for entire KP, people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Pakistan, that we have to fight this terrorism. And this is all across the world. I think there's a lot of unanimity wherever there's terrorism, the state and its entities, they fight together. So I'm sure sense would prevail, and PTI leadership should, I think, support the operations fully, and that will benefit KP also.
Right, one hopes so. Thank you so much, Brigadier Saab. Thank you for joining us today on this very important topic. Thank you for being with us. Aniq Saab, thank you for your very valuable time. I want to move on, and of course we're looking at a climate agriculture emergency. I want to talk about what we can expect in the next couple of months, after, even when we look at these monsoon spells, and what to expect immediately after. We have with us DG PDMA Punjab. Thank you for joining us. Ji, Irfan Saab, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Irfan Saab, we are looking, of course, we are already, as far as firefighting mode is concerned. First of all, are we out of that firefighting mode, in your opinion, now? Or do you think that, we are still reeling from trying to effectively, sort of deal with the crisis at this time to, so talk about the aftermath, so to speak?
Yes, if I can share you the details now, the main, issue is almost is over. The main problem right now lies in the south of Punjab. Last 72 hours were very critical for Multan and its tehsils of Jalalpur, Pirwala and Shujabad. But currently the main problem lies here in Muzaffargarh and its tehsil Alipur. There is a wide range of area which is completely inundated. Today, the whole of the political leadership and the administrative leadership, they were here, and we had a very massive evacuation from this area. We are now pretty sure that because of the receding trend overall downstream Panjnet, the water levels are decreasing gradually, and within next 24 to 48 hours, there will be a phenomenal decrease of water levels. So it will eventually decrease the miseries of the people here. Currently, we have ensured all the critical evacuations with the help of 5 helicopters from Pakistan Army. We have deployed almost 200 boats here in Muzaffargarh. So things are getting normal, and again, the good thing is that the water levels are receding on a very rapid pace.
Irfan sir, also when we talk about, when we look at, of course, recently we had the federal government talk about perhaps an overhaul or, a new climate resilient policy. Are you, in Punjab, I believe, is already working on this?
Yes, recently Chief Minister Punjab approved a new project of risk assessment, and we have started it from the southern Punjab. And in its first phase, we have almost covered this southern part of Punjab. But again, we have to, look after the climatic patterns and the climatic changes and the resultantly what is actually happening with Pakistan. And for that, Chief Minister of Punjab has already decided that we have to ensure a regulatory framework for the floodplain management, and we have to, vacate all the waterways in the riverbeds and in the hill torrent areas. So
Also, there is, I'm going to interject, do you also feel that there needs to be, is there going to be a change based on what we can expect in the future with regard to building, when we talk about urban planning, with regard to, crops, the cultivation, the areas overall? Is it going to cover, is it going to be very expansive overall, this policy?
yes, it would be expensive, but there is no option left with Pakistan and Punjab, because climate change is no more a myth. It has become a reality. So we have to be, we have to be prepared for this, and if we want to achieve the required resilience, then we have to spend on this. And for that matter, Chief Minister of Punjab and the government of Punjab has already, initiated the risk assessment, the regulatory framework for the floodplains, and we are also, keeping in view the futuristic, above normal rainfall forecasts, and for that we have to prepare ourselves for the urban flooding as well as the riverine issues.
As I understand, there's also, now we have sufficient data available, we have sufficient technology available to be able to assess what kind of, the water levels and, what kind of, water, to be able to measure exactly, if I'm saying this right. So we can then plan for the future, you think, conclusively?
For the measuring of water levels and overall for the precise weather forecast, or we have to achieve the new we have to invest in the new technology as far as the weather forecast is concerned, or the hydro telemetry systems are concerned. Government of Punjab and the Punjab Irrigation Department is already trying to have this digital telemetry gauging system, and it will be installed in next 1 year, and it will help us in proper informed decision making in future.
Are we also going to be able to, do you think that we need perhaps more as far as education is concerned about, for example, agriculture, when we're talking about, climate resilient farming, or we're talking about, drought and flood tolerant crops, which ones are they? And, all of that kind of information, is it going to be readily available to farmers? Of course, there are small scale farmers also. Is there a program, is there initiatives to deal with that also? Because, then we need that information to be available on ground, right?
Matter, we are in a phase of in collaboration with the Ministry of Climate Change. We are in a phase of developing regional and district adaptation plans. And when I talk about adaptation plans, that adaptation means climate resilient cropping system, and resilience for the animals, and for other development in such vulnerable areas. So these plans, they will help us a lot, and we have already prepared such plans for DG Khan and Rajanpur area, and now we are extending this the scope to whole of the Punjab, and in the near future things would be towards the improving side.
And also, as far as the overall picture this time is concerned, how long do you think it's going to be, in your opinion, of course, is it going to take for the government and of course you and the the rescue operations for as a whole for Punjab to come out of this mode where of course then you can assess more damage and then move towards perhaps conclusive data for the future and how to deal with the kind of damage that is even now happening, right?
Yes, it is very essential, and the government of Punjab is planning for this.
Ji. Thank you so much, Irfan Sahab. Thank you for joining us today on this very important, of course, situation at this time as far as floods are concerned, as far as move by the government, provincial and federal, towards climate resilient efforts that are being made as far as agriculture is concerned, or of course as far as groundwork is concerned, as far as urban planning is concerned, a host of things, as Pakistan grapples with the challenges of climate change. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.